Welcome into WagerTalk's last call. Sorry for the delay this morning. We have had some wonderful audio and tech issues. You guys are not going to get to be joined by VR, and I apologize for that. But I do have some sharp information from Art to Caesar from the Westgate Superbook. I've also got Teddy Covers and Brian Power on to talk some college basketball and NFL. So we've got a wonderful show ahead, even despite all of it's Saturday morning. Like, I need more coffee already. It is what it is. We're going to get right into it. If you guys have questions, please drop them in the chat. You guys know Teddy Covers from the opening line report. I'll be back with him on Monday, per usual. Teddy, we've got a pair of NFL games today that we're going to get into. We're going to talk some college basketball with you as well. But one of my favorite things that we talk about on the opening line report, because it does help me so much in my handicapping, is power ratings. So I'm going to make you divulge a little bit of behind the scenes of opening line report while we've got extra time today, because I plan on a hard 45-minute show. And now we're down one guy. So that means you and Brian Power get a little extra FaceTime with me. So, Teddy, let's get into some of these NFL games right out of the gate. Then I'll drop some of the stuff from Art to Caesar at the Westgate Superbook, and we'll take some questions from the chat. Let's talk power ratings. These are so crucial to any handicapper's success, especially in the NFL. So I kind of want you to rattle through some of these things as far as what you like to use. Now, you divulged to me on the opening line report that strength of schedule matters so much more than we realize during the playoffs. And I'm not live from a Publix bathroom, Sean. I'm at my dad's house like I am every third Saturday, every other week. I'm just in this tiny extra bedroom trying to keep the chaos that is outside of this room away from my microphone.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you today?
Teddy, I'm good. I'm going to grab a extra little swig of this energy drink, and I'm going to get my notes ready for your power ratings, even though I've already got them. I want kind of an updated set here going into wildcard weekend. Set us up for some success here and talk about what you like to utilize as far as a handicapping perspective for power ratings and how our audience can learn from you.
I will. But first, of course, Kelly, the people like you're hungover. Kelly was efforting really hard to get Gianni on the air for about 15. You guys don't see what goes on behind the scenes. Luckily, I get to be a fly on the wall for this stuff. So they were trying to work through some computer issues. It wasn't Kelly being hungover. It was Kelly working really hard to try to get Gianni on air. And of course, they couldn't figure it out. So that's why I get to go first today. When it comes to NFL power ratings, really, when I moved out to Las Vegas, I moved out in 1998. And that was the first thing that I was like, I want to start making power ratings, So I asked a couple of people, how do you do it? That was my question for the pros when I was first getting the opportunity to be in the chat like you guys are now and talking to some of the pro here. How do I start power ratings? How do I do it? And the best answer I got was from, and I don't remember who gave it to me. They're like, find 3 sets of power ratings for the same sport, use this guy's numbers and that guy's numbers and the other guy's numbers, turn them into one number, and then adjust from there. So you're not taking any one person individual. You're kind of putting an amalgamation of numbers together, and then you start adjusting. It's like the first year your power ratings won't be worth anything, and they weren't. The second year, they're worth a little something. By year 3, I was real comfortable making numbers in the NFL, and I started making numbers in college football and in the NBA and on down the line. So with power ratings, it's just you just dive in, and team A, team B, home field. Is my number where the market number is? Yes, no. If not, why not? Sometimes your opinion is better than the market. That's what I look for in my world, is when my opinion is better than the market. Is different and better than the market opinion about a team. That's the goal of all of this, Cal, is to find teams that the market is pricing one way, and you're seeing it in a different light. You talked about strength of schedule real quick. Strength of schedule is important only in one round, the wild card round.
Really?
The wild card round is essentially meaningless. But for the wild card round, strength of schedule has been like, if you take the team with the harder schedule, you cash 2 out of 3 tickets over the last 30 years. I mean, it's pretty significant when it comes to, and I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's more like 64, 65%. But it's well over 60% over a significant sample size when you find the strength of schedule differentials that are pretty dramatic. Wild card round only.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into some of these really quick, because Well, there's some fraudulent teams possibly that are playing this weekend. And I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Teddy. Again, if you guys are just joining us, welcome in. This is the opening line report, not an extended version, this is last call, not an extended version of the opening line report, but this is kind of a preview of what you guys can see with Teddy and I on Mondays as well. Because I do think that this is extremely important, Teddy, when breaking down some of these games. We can talk about market moves and so forth, but understanding what these teams should be priced at gives people a better idea of what they should be betting early or, of course, up until late, depending on where the market moves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of making your own numbers. You get a sense of, before you make your own numbers, that number feels wrong. And there's lots of numbers that you say, that's a trap. And when you start making power ratings and making your own point spreads, you realize, oh, no, that's just what the number is. That's pretty close to the number. Oh, I understand why they're on. And it's always with the road favorites. The road, they're only laying 3.5 on the road. Oh, they're only laying 4.5. Oh, they're only laying 2.5. And once you start making numbers, you understand, oh, that's what the number needs to be. That's what the number should be for these games. When it comes to this week in the NFL, I'm in play on 3 of the 6 games. I'm not in play on the other 3. So I'm happy to talk about whichever ones you want to talk about, but I ain't gonna give it all away. The client, I mean, that's why you sign up for the all access pass. That's why you sign up, client wise over at WagerTalk.com or on my page www.buzz/TC, so you get all this stuff. But I'm happy to, I'm happy to discuss any of the 3 games where we're not involved with the clients. Right.
All right, Teddy. Let's talk about the first game because I actually don't know what your client plays are. Sure. Hand up. So if I misspeak, I'm sorry. But let's talk about a game that I talked about this morning on Mad Dog Radio. They call and they say, "Hey, Cal, we want to talk about the Rams Panthers." I said, "Why? Why do you want to talk about this? This is the worst game on the board." And I said, "Here's the reality. You and I did the opening line report. Rams were -10. I turned around and did the show with Crack. Crack said, yeah, we laid 10. John Murray on Wednesday said, yep, the Sharps took Rams 10. Here's kind of the reality. Are the Carolina Panthers a little fraudulent at times? Yes, but they did just beat this team. So let's talk about maybe more of a situational perspective. Matthew Stafford, 3 turnovers in that game, 2 interceptions in the first quarter, fumble there late after getting sacked, and Carolina upset everybody in Survivor, right? If they laid it with the Rams. Here's kind of my question. When it comes to the playoffs, from a power ratings perspective, you don't get rich laying double digits on the road here.
So when there's a double-digit favorite in the NFL in the postseason, they're double-digit chalk for a reason. All right. And note, this is not a public play. This is the wise guys like LA minus the points in this. The first meeting between these two teams, the Panthers win. Let's call it somewhat fraudulent. All right.
Fair.
If membership, I think they forced only 5 third downs for the Rams the whole game. LA moved the ball up and down the field. They just turned it over. Stafford, I remember the quotes from Matthew Stafford. We were talking about it on the NFL opening line report, first thing Monday morning after that game, where Matthew Stafford was like, yeah, I didn't play well. I had a really crappy game, yada, yada, yada. So Stafford took a lot of the blame on itself. Carolina was +3 in turnovers, and I'm trying to remember, there were 2 or 3 and 3 of third downs. They are on fourth downs, I should say. They converted all their fourth downs. So basically, they got a whole bunch of extra possessions in that ball game and found a way to win it. We'll give them credit for finding a way to win it. They were not the better of the two teams. They were lucky. The things broke right for Carolina on that day. In the postseason, you don't necessarily expect that to happen twice. All right. LA's the better of these two squads. But the point spread is the great equalizer, And the Panthers this year have been remarkable in one role, Kelly, and remarkable. They've lost 9 games. So after each of their last 8 losses, the following week, they came back and covered the point spread. Each and every one of them. Worked for me in Tampa last time. Boy, they were ugly. Wasn't pretty, but they got in under the number. Okay. And that speaks to a team's character. And it speaks to where they're being valued in the marketplace. When a team goes 8-0 ATS after a loss, A, the betting markets don't respect that team. And B, they showing a collective resolve to compete. Not a collective, not a team that's, going going to get slapped around week after week. They're not the Jets down the stretch, losing every game by 23 plus. So when I know a team's going to compete and they're double-digit home dogs, that's the lean. But did I actually put any money on Carolina? Hell no.
No, and I didn't either. But the contrarian in me, Teddy, wants to say you guys are out of your minds. This is a large number against, again, a team who wants to be competitive and who wants to play. Like, I will say that this Carolina team has showed some real tenacity at times. I mean, that New England game comes to mind where you're like, good grief, could they have played any worse? But outside of that, I would agree with you. They had some valiant losses. Let's keep going through this list real quick. Before we get to Brian Power, we're going to talk some college basketball. And Art DeCaesars sent me like 42 games. So we're going to go over those as well. I'll drop those in the chat as well as goes over those with you guys. But Teddy, let me know if you have a play on this one. Green Bay or Chicago? Publix on Chicago, Sharps on Green Bay. I don't know if that is the case here, Teddy. I was really hoping on Monday, I know the opening line report audience, as well as the bet on it and last call audience, hates that I talk about teasers, but they've been so good this year. I was like, please get me Green Bay plus 1.5 and then move the market. Let me get Chicago plus 1.5 so I can tease both sides. Watch this game with my family. By the way, I've got Bears fans over here, Packers fans over here. And I'm like, and then I can just sit back and not care who wins and cash both sides. But that is not what's going to get to be the reality here. The Bears are teasable, but I don't know if I really love the Bears in this spot. Let's talk about this game if you don't have it up for sale for clients, because I'm really intrigued. I think this is going to be one of the better, closer games of the weekend. I could see this game landing one, like every single bookmaker does not want it to.
Yeah, the Bears are very teasable. Ha ha, Bears. Nah, 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 nah. If you have a Bears fan in your life, you've been teasing them as long as you've known them, or at least since 1985 or so. But of course, when you talk about plus 1.5 for the classic 6-point teaser, the Wong gets it up over a field goal and then over a touchdown. And that's what we look for when it comes to teasers, the classic Wong betting strategy of getting capturing the 3s and the 7s with your teaser. So Chicago certainly in that regard. And this is another one. No, I'm not involved. The 2 games today, I didn't play either one of them for the clients. I didn't like either one of them. I made a lean to Carolina plus, and in this one, I make a lean to the under and a lean to the Packers, and it's a lean. I'm not getting the betting window, not at these numbers. Not close to these numbers. We already missed it on the total. The total was as high as 46.5. We talked about it. Did we do an emergency betting alert for this total? I knew it was on the way down. I think we might have.
We did due to the weather. You say, listen, I joked about not being a meteorologist and saying like, hey, listen, we're still, 5-6 days away from this, but we did see that this total was going to be coming down. I apologize, guys. I do not have my odds logic screen open on my laptop right now. Teddy, what is the current total on this one?
Well, luckily for you, Kel, I have my odds logic, and I basically always have my odds logic live odds screen open. And if you guys want a free trial, oddslogic.com/Teddy, free 7-day access for Odds Logic. It's a good product. I use it every day. Kelly, you use it every day?
Well, I use it every day, but here's the problem. I let my boyfriend use it on his laptop, so it keeps logging me out because I guarantee he's sitting on the front porch right now using my odds logic screen. If you want to know the truth and why I don't have it open, because it keeps kicking me out because I let him use my login. Maybe I know the owner and I could ask for a secondary login. But thank you, Teddy, for
it's a good product. That's the whole point. So check it out, oddslogic.com/Teddy, free 7-day trial. If you want to try it out, I encourage you. It helps. It really does help.
Yes, of course it does.
Right now, I'm seeing pretty much minus 1.5 for Green Bay everywhere. Some shops have juice. DK's minus 115. FanDuel's minus 118 right now. Offshore at some of the global markets, we're looking at minus 112 at some of the influential books in the global marketplace. So we got Green Bay minus 1.5 with juice, and totals pretty much down to 44.5 everywhere. It's still a 45 at circa. Everywhere else is still sitting at 4. Everyone else right now down to 44.5 off the opener of 46.5. The weather in Chicago tonight is not supposed to be ridiculous. Sometimes you get a January night in Chicago and it's really not enjoyable at Soldier Field. Not that I think it's going to be particularly enjoyable around freezing, but it's not going to be minus 12 with crazy winds whipping and all of that. That being said, it's a January night in Chicago, outdoors for 3 hours. 3.5 hours. It'll get nippy, I'm sure.
That's a great word, by the way, nippy. Haven't heard that one in a while. Teddy covers. All right, tell us what you've got going on over at WagerTalk.com, and then I'm going to make you break down the other game tomorrow that you're not involved in.
Sure. Happy to do it. I'll break down all this stuff. Kel. So I have not yet posted hoops today. I had to jump in the shower and get on air. But the hoops will be posted shortly after we get off air. I'll have plays in NBA and college basketball for today that will be posted. We'd like to have them up by 9 a.m. Pacific time. It might be by 9:30, but they'll be up in the next hour or so. We're involved in college. We're not involved in college football anymore. All those games are done now. We have new college football games to think about. We cashed last night with Indiana. That was fun and easy. We're involved with 3 plays in the NFL. I did a 5% big ticket. We pulled it down for sale because the line has moved too much. That happens. I have no problem getting it out early and making sure that my clients get the best of the number. And we've done that in the NFL. But there's still 2 plays up on my page for sale, including Chargers, Patriots, and Texans, Steelers for Monday night. So I'm happy to give you my take, and I'm leaning hard on Jags Bills. I haven't pulled the trigger. And I'm like, I got 3. I don't need 4.
I was like, I love the Jags. I gave it out my best bet on it. I said, here is why. I broke down the whole thing. I said, I don't trust this Bills team. I think that they've kind of regressed a little bit outside of Josh Allen, of course. And John Murray kind of put this little seed in my head that said, if McDermott loses this game, he's going to get fired. And I thought that's a really interesting, just a situation. It doesn't hold any weight, but I thought that was interesting. And then he proceeds to tell me, oh, but the Jags are the biggest public play of the week. And I thought, I was like, come on, Murray. Like, that's not what I wanted to hear when I said how much I love the Jags. I was hoping that I could tease the Jags and one side of the Green Bay game together. And then, of course, now Jags is down to 1 and probably even headed towards a pick'em here shortly. So I'm kind of curious to see what you think about this Bills-Jags game. I've already got Jags plus 1.5 in pocket.
So I'm going to tease it for just a second. But first, someone asked me this the other day. I don't know if I was talking about it with you or someone, but would you rather have a public play to fade, the number 1 public play to fade, or the number 1 wise guy play to bet? And I'm like, I'll always take the number 1 public play to fade more than the wise. Because the wise guys they're very comfortable betting 50 games, or betting 20 games and going 11-9. Boom, done, and getting the best of the number that you didn't necessarily get. The public plays to fade, the number 1 public played. If you fade that every week, you're going to cash more than you don't. I would think more than your 55% of the wise guys trying to hit. So fade the public for me is better than the bet on the wise guys. When it comes to Bills Jags from a side standpoint, I'm not touching this game. Not a chance. This game's going to come. I'll tell you flat out, whoever has the ball last is going to win. We got 2 good offenses that are going to move the football. And I would expect, and when we think about with the Jacksonville down 27-0 to the Chargers in their last playoff game, rallying back. If you watch that game, you'll never forget it.
Here's the problem. I didn't. They were down 27-0. I went to bed. I was pissed off. I had Jacksonville. I woke up the next morning. I was like, the app's broken. Something's wrong. They won that football game. And so I kind of wonder if I used all of my Jags good juju on that one.
But that speaks to the character of Trevor Lawrence and company. Jacksonville's been a character team this year. They've taken punches and punches back and punch back. Buffalo has had an extraordinary amount of postseason success. All right. They've won multiple playoff games every year in the McDermott era. Firing McDermott again. When you think about where this Bills franchise was when McDermott got there, which is 25 years of futility, embarrassing futility. Flutie Flakes was the last good thing that happened in Buffalo before he got there, which is, turn of the century stuff, 2000, 2002, whenever, they've been very bad for a very long time. And McDermott changed that from day one, essentially. So I got nothing but respect for him as a head coach. That being said, there are issues for Buffalo in terms of, we question the defense. I certainly question the run defense. I question their ability to, we question the receiving core a little bit for the Bills. What I do believe in this game is these 2 quarterbacks. All right. Trevor Lawrence is playing the best football of his career. It's not close. And he's got weapons to throw to. Josh Allen is playing football again at an MVP type level. I mean, we get immune to it. We get bored with it because he's been playing at this level for 5 or 6 years. But Josh Allen is playing at an MVP form. When you have these two good offenses, you expect points in January, man. You do. This is the highest total on the board for good reason. I think we see a shootout, and I lean over.
Okay.
I haven't bet it, the number, because again, I'm seeing signs this could come down. You know, some of the leading indicator books are juiced under on this ball game. So I don't think it will. I mean, 51.5 is a reasonable number. It's not a number that I have to wait for the 51. It's not 3.5, 2.5. Yeah, hey, let's wait for the 3. See we get it. But the lean here is definitely Bills Jags under. I think that game's going to be a lot of fun, and I think the last team with the football is likely to win the game.
All right. Well, thank you to Teddy Covers for filling in earlier than expected on today's show at Teddy_covers over there on X. You guys can catch Teddy and I back here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Opening line report for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Anything you'd like to leave our audience with, Teddy?
Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate all your support, genuinely. The likes, the comments, the follows that make all the difference for our algorithm. So thank you for your support, and good luck today. Cheers. All
right. Cheers, Teddy, to that. This is not a Viva, by the way, guys. I know that's what Chris Thurston just texted me and asked me if I had a Viva at 11:30 in the morning. A guy who likes to drink a little bit of Viva every once in a while, Brian Power. Brian Power, what are you doing this morning? I appreciate you coming on. Brian Power, you guys can catch him on WagerTalk. You guys can check him out now on the Picks and Parlays and WagerTalk YouTube channel. The Morning Wager is back, which is really exciting. Let everybody know where they can catch that BP. And we're going to get into some of this college basketball as I pull up Art to Caesar's very lengthy text, because last week college basketball was really good again.
I'm very interested to hear what Art has to say. I always enjoy chat with Art sometimes with Joe and Prez. But yeah, the Morning Wager, let's not bury the lead, Kelly. It is back on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. Mark and I actually just posted a clip from yesterday's show. As a matter of fact, as we were talking about Indiana, Oregon yesterday, I said, look, man, if you like Indiana to win and cover this game, just bet them to win the national championship, because they're going to be a big favorite in that game. Guess what? And Mark made the bet on the air. He goes, oh, that sounds very appealing to me. I'm going to make that bet right now. He did. And guess what? Indiana's about a 3-1 favorite to beat Miami next Monday. So fun times always on Morning Wager with Mark and I. Check it out again on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. Mark and I have a special deal. I'm sure we'll be talking about that sometime in the next 15 minutes.
And for the record, comment section, actually, I did brush and curl my hair this morning. I want you guys to know that.
They're after you this morning, man.
I know, right? I don't know what I did. I get it. My setup's not the greatest. I'm sitting here on my dad's bar stool. It's hurting my back. We had tech issues. I mean, come on. Like, I'm here for you guys. Can I get some love? Of course. You can tell me how I brush my hair. Look at it. Look at those fresh curls.
I haven't brushed my hair since 96.
Oh, my gosh, Brian Power. Let's get into some of these college basketball games. There is a just plethora of games, but I know these guys want to talk about a couple of the ones that are tipping off here early, and that, hey, really solid teams. Let's talk about that University of Florida team that I bet last year to win the national championship. They lose to Mizzou, and I thought, all right, this team is not what they once were. Maybe Missouri's a little bit better than I thought. Dennis Allen's been doing a great job with that team. Now, Florida's back at home here. They're going to take on the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, interesting. Florida, Kelly, one of the spots both you and I look at each and every year is the old unranked home team favored over top 25 opponent. Florida, second time this week, they're in that role. Now, what was interesting, and Mark and I talked about this on the Morning Wager earlier this week, that trend started 0-3. This year, with NC State coming up short twice. Lo and behold, the first instance, though, of a team getting home and covering as an unranked home favorite against the top 25 team was Florida on Tuesday as a 9.5-point favorite. I think they even closed high. Did they close higher? Did they close 10? Somebody remind me, against Georgia. And for about a half, things were not looking good for Florida. But then you had the ejection, and Florida just blew them out of the water in the second half. I don't want to play the side in this game. Actually, I have a lot of respect for Tennessee. I would look at the under in this Florida-Tennessee matchup. What is the key? It's not a client play, but it's how I would look to play this game. And guys, if you're watching this game, what you want to be focused in on, because this will determine the result of the game, I can guarantee that, is offensive rebounding. These are the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country, Kelly, in offensive rebounding. The under, okay, for the under to come home, we can't have a lot of second chance points. But here's the good news. You look at the Florida side, okay, they're number 5 in the country at canceling out offensive rebounds. So what I'm hoping for here, and what anyone who's bet the under, I know a lot of people who've bet the under in this game. I haven't had a chance to peruse what Art is saying here on the screen, but I'd be interested to know if he liked that. Oh, it looks like he actually thinks the other way. It looks like some people bet the over. I don't know. I would say I'm going to just beg to differ there. I like the under in this game. And
that's what Steve Merril does every single week. Art gives out these names and he says, no, the Sharps are wrong. No, Art's wrong. It's actually kind of become a new little stitch. So that's good.
I like Steve Merril and I like Art DeCesar. So guess what? Can't we all be friends? I'll just say this. If there's a lot of second chance points in this game, then yes, it's going to be tough for the under to get home. But I think relative to what we normally see from this Tennessee and this Florida team, there will not be as many second chance points in this game. So under is what I like in that one.
Okay, let's keep on moving right along. This Nebraska team, good God. You know, K-State was in a rock fight with this team there in Kansas City, and I thought, all right, either K-State's not as good, Nebraska's not as good. I couldn't figure out the dynamics. And since then, Nebraska has just been on fire. This has been a really great program. Obviously, we know Illinois historically has always been a really great basketball program. Talk about Brad Underwood's team here, back at home, laying a little chalk.
So with Nebraska here, here's the deal. I always, my ratings are pretty much in line with the Ken Palm ratings. You know, it's not like Ken Palm's like a panacea and it's like, we should, walk up the mountain with it chiseled in stone. But here's the deal with when you talk about Nebraska, the AP poll versus my power ratings, Nebraska still sticks out like a sore thumb, Kelly. They're number 10 in the country in the AP poll. What I barely have them still as a top 25 team, despite the undefeated starts. The longest win streak in the country for Nebraska. They've been shooting the lights out, and they proved me wrong. I was on Ohio State earlier in the week. I know everybody was on Ohio State earlier in the week. And, as that game got ready to tip off, I got a little nervous. But they're facing an Indiana team. I guess the word, Kelly, in Bloomington, Indiana right now, the key word that they believe, at least on the athletic side in Bloomington, is experience. We talk about the football team. Obviously, it's a very experienced group, not necessarily together, but they bring in a lot of experienced transfers. The basketball team here in Bloomington, most experienced team in the country. So it's at home. This team usually plays better at home. Nebraska, I believe this is their third true road game. So I like Indiana. I think a lot of people expect that from me in this game. I think Nebraska suffers its first loss of the season this afternoon in Bloomington. India, I agree with this. Here's the thing. You had Teddy on in the opening segment, right? And you guys are talking about power ratings. You can't just blindly, and you know this, Kelly, you can't just blindly take these unranked home teams if you think it's a bad number. I didn't take Florida against Georgia because I thought that number was kind of absurd. I guess, it was back to the drawing board with me. In this case, I agree with this number. Indiana absolutely should be favored by a couple buckets over Nebraska, and I think I like them to get it done. Hoosiers.
All right, guys. Sorry about that misspeak. Indiana, not Illinois. Can you tell that I have my list of Art DeCesar up, and I'm trying to get it.
You were doing too. Yeah, I always say.
And Tom is producing today, not Louis. Usually, I'd be screaming at Louis to get me off the screen. Today, I just have no shame. You guys have already criticized my hair. We already started late. I just don't care. So I'll be on my phone betting these games. It doesn't matter. I'm here for you guys, and it doesn't matter if I do my hair or not. Damn it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that you're getting. I think I'm getting a haircut after the show. Much
you
to
should.
Thank I knew that. I've been waiting for that Slack message again. Everybody, the 3 month. I'll tell you. Other than your computer's infected with malware, I think the scariest thing to look at your computer screen is KIV is typing. That is the scariest thing that one can see on their computer. You guys have
Slack for work. I
get very nervous when I see that. I say, "Oh no." Yes.
All right, here, let's talk about some of these interesting sides from Art at
Yeah.
the Westgate Superbook. I don't want to talk about any of these boring games. If I did, I would have Adam Trigger on. So I want to talk about the more exciting games here. He said the Sharps laid 12.5 here with Duke. Let's talk about this Duke game because it's getting bet up. And I don't know if I already missed the boat. And I'm debating, right? So when a line goes from 12.5 to 14, because the team is named Duke, that makes me a little nervous. Like the game's going to land 13, 14, and guess who wins? And then guess who subsequently loses. So I like to check some of these things and see if the market's moved a little too much for me, Brian Power. Please let me know.
Yeah. So the thing with Duke, let's go back, college basketball for me, we don't want to be victims of recency bias at all, but you always want to go back and, these teams are so up and down and so maddeningly inconsistent for the most part. I mean, except for, maybe the real elite. Yeah, Duke's an elite team for that matter, but go back to what happened earlier in the week against Louisville, Kelly. They were losing in that game. It did not look good in the first half. Louisville, Mark and I talked about that game, and Louisville is a team that attempts the most three-pointers in the country, and they could not miss from behind the arc in that first half. That is why Duke fell behind in that game. It took a lot of effort to come back to beat the Cardinals, a high-profile game. I think Louisville has an argument as the second best team in the ACC. I know that there's someone in the chat, at least one person in particular, who probably thinks it's Virginia, but that's a different story for a different day. I think because it took so much for Duke, I know Duke's home. I know SMU's a lot better at home than they are on the road. I actually played SMU's team total under. I gave this out for free on the morning wager when they suffered an L. They were, guess what? A top 25 team that lost at unranked Clemson the other night. You may have covered due to that last second three, but I would not lay it with Duke. I know that's like kind of a gutless thing to say. I'm not in a rush to back SMU in this spot, but there's no, you know me, I'm not laying this with Duke. No,
and that's fine. But that's the reality with some of these sharp plays. The sharp guys are betting these numbers. They have, I think, 15 games or something they bet today. I dropped them in the chat. We'll go over some more of them here in just a minute. I'm kind of curious about some of these totals. You mentioned, let's stay on that Duke game because the Duke under is on this list as well. So I kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were on the total in regards to these two. Under 159 is what they played.
Yeah, so Duke, they don't play exceptionally fast. I mean, they're a top 10 defensive team in the country. SMU, their strength is on the offensive side, but again, they're on the road, so you're going to expect a little bit less offense from them. Thinking from a game script perspective, how does Mark and I talk about this all the time. How does SMU cover the spread in this game? Let's just think about how the game plays out in our heads, okay? SMU will probably cover this spread if it's a low-scoring game, okay? And then similarly, Duke, how do they cover? Well, they're going to cover if they hold SMU's offense in check. So I think there is multiple pathways to an under in this game. As a matter of fact, as I kind of just talk it out here on the air with you, Kelly, that's probably the bet to make in this game. Would be the under, I think. I just think there's more paths to get there. So, yeah, I like that. I would agree with the Sharps on that one.
And I agree with the Sharps here on the Tennessee, Florida over 150.5. I believe right now it is currently, it's still 150.5. So nobody else has actually played anything significant there. Let's kind of go through some more games. Brian Power, tell me what you got going on for sale over at WagerTalk, and then we'll talk about some of the games that narrowly missed your card today.
Yeah, well, so I'm playing both NFL playoff games today, including a 5% max bet. Very rare we do the 5% max bets. My last 5% play was on New Year's Day. That was Indiana against Alabama. And that was, not sure if you caught that game, It was a very easy winner, quite frankly. I wish I would have just laid it with Indiana again last night. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because I know those people want me to discuss that. But first 5% play in the NFL since December 20th. Yeah, since that we had the Eagles and Commanders over that day, which was a winner. We got a little lucky late, but that's okay. We'll take it. And look, we're 10-4 with all NFL 5% plays going back to November of 2023. So that's only 14 times, guys, we've released a 5% play in the NFL going back over 2 years. We're hitting over 70% of them. And really like this one that you have to, and I'm playing both. I said I had 2 plays. I'm playing both games. So you can check it out right now, wt.buzz/BP. Up over 50 units, Kelly, betting football since November 1st. Very proud of that. I wish I would have been up closer to 60, but yours truly, Kelly, did something stupid yesterday. What did I do stupid? I bet Oregon under its team total. I'm the only person yesterday who was rooting for Indiana that didn't win somehow because it was 21.5. And guess what they did? They, for some reason, kicked the extra point at the end instead of going for 2. I knew it was going to happen. I was on the phone with Zinno. I said, this is horrible. I wish if it was an afternoon game and there was something else, the way that game got out of hand, I told him, I was like, if this was the middle of the afternoon and I had this same bet on this game, I would just walk away and do something else. I'm not going to sit here and torch because I'm not learning anything by watching this game or Indiana's kicking their ass. So that sucked. I did at least mitigate the damage somewhat with the Sacramento Kings in the first half. And that was a very good bet because they got their ass kicked in the second half. So, yeah. So
they always get their ass kicked. If you watch Kelly and Murray, John Murray has their season win total under. So his group
they're very bad.
It is no Kings because they're rooting against the Kings. And I laughed. I said, but every once in a while in the first half, they really show like they want to play and then they just don't. And he goes, that's exactly why we bet their season win total under. So congratulations to you if you like the Kings going forward. Kings first half is probably the only way you should be looking at it.
They're a team that's just going to roll over and quit, right? If it gets out of hand. I mean if they're not
kind of have.
As we like to say, if they're not covering early, they're not covering late. So, yeah. So anyway, we got the 2 plays up in the NFL. And I also have my two plays up for Sunday as well. Already, trying to the early bird gets the worm, so to speak, Kelly. I've got, I've got 4 plays for NFL wild card weekend.
All right, well, let's hit on a couple more of these college basketball games from the chat before we get you out of here.
I do have a lean in the NBA if we want to answer that question. I would take Indiana.
Go ahead. Give me your lean in the NBA.
I would take Indiana plus the points. They just snapped a long losing streak. No one's, it's like the old anti-swagger spot or swagger spot, if you will, Kelly. They call it a bad team wins a game. The public says, oh, well, they're not going to win again. But I look at it and say, hey, I think they've got maybe a little bit of that swagger in them here. And the good news is, if you want to bet Indiana tonight, this is just a lean right now. It's not officially on my card. You only need them to stay within 7 points. Miami, an interesting spot. They had a game canceled against Chicago. You don't see that often. There was a condensation issue on the court. So it kind of throws a fly in the ointment. But I would take Indiana plus the points. Indiana way better at home than they are on the road as well. And by the way, I like seeing the Pacers suffer after what their fans had to say last June.
Oh, boy. Now here we go. Look what I did. Look what social media did. You've basically turned them into the new Bears fans. Okay, I'm going to go through this list of college basketball. I already put it in the chat. I will put it in the chat again. From Art to Caesar that was sharp. Let's go through these totals first just because they're boring and because they're totals. Fordham over 140. Tennessee over 150.5. Florida State over 159. Louisville under 150, Grand Canyon under 141.5, Duke under 150, Arizona State under 170. But let's talk about some of these interesting sides here. Lindenwood -6. That one has come up a little.
I know you love Lindenwood.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I said I know you love Lindenwood. I was being facetious, but I was like, I know you love Lindenwood. What are your favorite teams to bet on?
I know I couldn't name a single player on the teams. This is the thing that is so great about college basketball. You just pick the conferences you want to follow, and then you just do those in depth. For me, it's big. It's Big 12, Big 10, SEC. I don't need to follow. I couldn't even tell you what conference Lindenwood is in. Isn't that sad?
It is a little bit.
Okay,
Lindenwood. Well. I'm sure all our Lindenwood fans are weeping right now.
Cal Fullerton -1.5, Duke -12.5, Air Force +18, Missouri State -1.5. BP, if you have any agreements here or opposites, feel free to
I'll react. Yeah, I don't want to bet Air Force.
You don't. They're that bad, huh?
No, they're not a good team. They don't let people in 6'3" or taller in the Air Force. Why would you bet a basketball team from Air Force?
Okay, great. Is that true?
Yes. That's why I'm not in the Air Force.
You're taller than 6'3"?
I'm 6'3" on the dot. Yeah.
I would have lost that bet. I think it's because I'm always in high heels whenever I'm around you. Would not have guessed you were 6'3". All right, UTEP +4.5, Eastern Illinois +4, TCU +7.5. Let's talk some Big 12 basketball there, Brian Power.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's hear your opinions on this one. I'm still betting these. They have come down from 7.5 down to 7 versus Arizona, a team that just smacked my K-State Wildcats.
Yeah, Arizona. It's kind of like right on market. Look, Arizona eventually is going to slip up. And if they slip up, where's it going to be? Where do we think it's going to be, Kelly? It's going to be on the road. Man, if they don't slip up here, just looking at the upcoming schedule. I mean, you're talking to the end of the month when they have to travel to Provo, face BYU, that they might slip up. I might take I could be convinced to take a small nibble here on the dog. I wouldn't play it large, but if it would be dog or pass for me in that situation.
Is the dog worth a money line sprinkle, or are we just taking the current number of +7?
Oh, you want to get real frisky. No, I don't see TCU winning the game. No.
Okay.
I would just take the points.
So TCU to cover, Arizona to win. All right, let's keep going through some of these games real quick before we get out of here. Arkansas State -11.5. Sam Houston +2.5. Long Beach State -5. New Mexico State -3.5. Loyola Marymount +12. And Utah +14.5.
Utah's an interesting one there. They're obviously facing BYU. The aforementioned BYU. Again, I could be convinced that's a decent number of points you're getting in a rivalry matchup. I would be inclined to take the points there in a rivalry game with the home dog for sure. So I agree with that.
Power, anything else you'd like to leave our audience with before we get you out of here?
Just one more time, 5% max bet. Oh, need to mention this. The buy one, get one free. If you go to picks and parlays, guys, I'm still on WagerTalk. See my nice shirt that I wore. But if you go to picks and parlays right now, you can pick up a buy one, get one free special. Obviously, the morning wager is back. Kelly mentioned that at the outset of the segment. You can get all of my plays for the next 3 days, including that 5% play for today in the NFL wildcard round, plus all of Mark Zinno's plays for the next 3 days. $69. Both of us. Every single sport. $69. You can go to my page, go to his page. He gets very personal about it. He likes when you go to his page. I'd prefer you go to mine, but that's okay. No matter who you go to, you can get that buy one, get one special. Take advantage now. Of course, you can still, like I said, find me at WagerTalk as well. 4 NFL wildcard plays currently locked and loaded. And we'll see if we add some hoops here in the next hour as well. I do have to get a haircut, Kelly, before.
No, you got to get your hoops plays posted first. Okay. Then you can get a haircut. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on this wild card Saturday weekend. Good luck to you, Brian Power. Good luck to Teddy Covers. And good luck to everybody who has hung out with us for the last 45 minutes and bared through my unbrushed hair and our tech issues. Love you guys every single weekend. We'll be back next weekend for the divisional round. We'll be back tomorrow. Ariel Epstein, we'll see if we can get Gianni's tech issues figured out. Marco D'Angelo will be there, as well as Andrew McGinnis, to talk some NFL props. Hope you guys have a wonderful and profitable Saturday, and we'll see you next week.